If you're leading a workplace investigation and you know the person involved, are you biased? This came up as a part of our discussion with the last HR Jetpack Community Event on workplace investigations with Meric Bloch. Here are the highlights. We discussed impartiality.
Now, we always have to be careful because what I've noticed over the years is subjects and others will throw that around going, well, you can't do it, you're biased. And what I've seen a lot of people do, investigators, HR folks do, is that immediately throws us back on our heels. And we're very quick to then go, oh, no, no, oh, I'm not biased, I'm not biased, and maybe I'll just have somebody else do it then. No, no. To be biased or with the appearance of bias is something significant. The fact that I know you is not bias. If I have a stake in the outcome, that's bias. If I know that person, if I know one of the witnesses, if I know the person who made the complaint, that's not bias. If that person is a close personal friend, yes. Just because somebody makes the accusation, and may make it, just reflexively, may make it just for the impact value of making it, that does not mean you have to drop everything. However, they are entitled to have an impartial investigation that's credible, but so is the organization. It's something that we should want. It's something that the organization should want. Quite frankly, as an investigator, I wouldn't want my integrity questioned. So if I had any worries, I would step off the case because I would never want somebody to think somehow I took kind of an ethical chance.
I love how he says everyone is entitled to an impartial investigation. This is essentially a foundation for a legally defensible investigation. But remember, just because you know the person being investigated as the HR manager doesn't necessarily make you biased. Oftentimes, we just jump to this conclusion. We also talked about consistency.
We also have an investigation process that we follow consistently. That obviously means we allow for variation. We accept that every investigation is unique, that circumstances may dictate, but we have a consistent process, right? We talk about in the beginning, Christina mentioned the winter method. Every organization, that I've worked for or I've consulted with, we've developed a consistent process. That is a baseline process the organization works with, and then at the end of the day, we have the findings, and the investigation findings are supported by the evidence that is gathered. It is unethical to reach a conclusion that is not supported by the evidence.
It's interesting how Meric points out that every investigation is unique. However, every investigation must be looked into using a structured, consistent process. This structured methodology ensures fairness across the board. Finally, it's important to understand the why. Not only in these situations are we trying to understand what went wrong and investigate the wrongdoing so we can make it right, but also understand why it happened in the first place so we can put in preventative steps to keep it from happening again.
I also want to understand why it happened. Right? I wanted to understand the human nature. I wanted to understand the motivations, because if I'm also going to explain to management, how did we get here? Why did it happen? What were the contributing factors? What can we change for the future? I need to understand the why. Now, this is not to excuse the motivations, it's to explain them, because I really can't change human nature. I can't change why people do things, but if management is aware of that, then we can do things.
So the goal isn't just to determine wrongdoing, but also to understand why it happened in the first place so you can put in steps to keep it from happening again. These are such great conversations that we have together on these really important topics within our HR Jetpack community events. I hope to see you there so you can share your own thoughts and experiences.